Hello everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Well, you guys have come a long way in making this project. This is Kimberbell's Candy Cane Lane bench pillow slash table topper slash wall hanging project. And we have actually made all of these main blocks. Isn't that fun? So if you are making this into a pillow, you can watch this video just for informational purposes. And then the next step that you're going to be doing are the borders, where you're going to be sewing these pieces together. And then you'll be quilting the borders, okay, including this thin, pretty turquoise border right here. We won't be covering that in this video because if you're following along and doing the table topper slash wall hanging project that I'm doing, we have a few more steps that we have to finish in order to get to that part of the project. So the first thing that we're going to be doing in today's video is we're going to be working on these 8 by 8 inch square blocks. So like I said earlier, if you're doing the bench pillow, you can still watch this and learn some tips and tricks along the way on how to do these larger blocks. And then you can just also tune back in when we get to the border video, because that will be what you'll need to do to finish your bench pillow. All right, and we will get there. But today we're going to work on just how to take an 8 by 8 inch square finished, which means it's going to be 8.5 inch square by 8.5 inch square, because we got to allow for seam allowances. So we're going to take that 8.5 inch by 8.5 inch square piece of fabric, and we're going to put it in the hoop, and we're going to quilt it. And we're going to do that for all 4. Let's go over to the machine and let's get started. Okay, we are at the machine. Now for these 4 blocks, these blocks are going to be the cornerstones of my table topper slash wall hanging. These are going to be in the 4 corners. So what I've done is I selected my fabric and I cut 10 inch by 10 inch square pieces of the fabric. The blocks are going to be 8 inches square finished, which means we want 8.5 inch by 8.5 inch squared up when we're all done to sew it in with seam allowances. So I went ahead and cut my blocks a little bit bigger. I cut them to 10 inches. That gives me plenty of wiggle room to do the placement, do the quilting, and then I can square it up when I'm done. So cut your blocks 10 inches by 10 inches. Then I also cut 4 pieces of batting. I'm using the warm and natural batting, and I cut my batting to 9 inches square. That gives me plenty to tack down. Okay, so 10 inches square for your fabric and 9 inches square for your batting. All right, so now let's go to the screen and let's add the design. So let's go to embroidery. I keep everything on my flash drive, and I'm going to candy cane and just the quilting background. I'm not going to do any fancy applique on these 4 blocks that are going to be in the corners. I just want a nice quilting design. So I purchased this one from the Kimberbell.com website, and I'm going to select this 8 by 8. Remember, the finished block is going to be 8 by 8. We're going to square it to 8.5 by 8.5 for seam allowances. So I always want to pick a design that's slightly smaller than that 8 by 8 that I'm going to square it up to. So this is the perfect. This is an 8 design. It says 8.5 by 8.5 because that's going to include the seam allowances for the tack down and the batting. So all I want to do is quilt these corners. I don't want to do any fancy applique or anything. They're just kind of large cornerstones in my design. So I'm going to click Set. Isn't that going to be cute? But look, there's little gingerbread men and candies and candy canes and holly. It's going to be adorable. Okay, so now we can click embroidery. And it brought it up. Okay. Okay, and we're back to the hoop cam. And now because this design is 8.5 inches wide, this will not fit in my 8 by 12 inch hoop. So I have to go to my 9.5 by 14 hoop, only because of the width. Okay, again, this is 8.5 inches wide, so it won't fit in my 8 by 8 hoop, and it won't fit in my 8 by 12 hoop. So I had to go to my 9.5 by 14, what I call my monster hoop, to be able to put this in. Again, because this design is 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches. All right. So put your big hoop in there, and we're going to put white thread. No, we're going to put a pale pink. This is what I'm going to do for this design. This is the fabric that I'm using, and I want this fabric to kind of really shine. I don't want to have too much going on top of it, because I think this is super cute. So I'm going to do all this quilting in a matching real pretty pale pink that will accent this. It'll blend in, so when you're looking from far away, you won't see it, but then when you look up close, you're going to see all the cool designs. So I'm going to put that pale pink thread on the top of the machine. So if the fabric you're using is a print or a design that you want to be the star of the show, use a thread on the top of your machine that'll blend in. Now, if you're using a solid color fabric for the corners, this would be cool. Use a bright contrasting thread that'll make the quilting pop out against a solid background. That would be pretty too. So depending on what kind of fabric you've chosen, put the thread that you want to use to quilt this on the top of the machine. And we're going to use this thread throughout for all the tack down stitches, batting, and everything, because it doesn't matter. It's not going to be seen behind the scenes. All right, you ready to go? So let's put the foot down and let's stitch out the placement line for the batting. Okay, so now we're going to place the batting down, and because it's a really big hoop and I really can't see what I'm doing, I'm going to slide this up just a little bit so I can put this into position. Because again, remember, I cut my batting 9 inches by 9 inches, which is the perfect size to give a little bit of cushion around everything. Okay, then I'm going to slide the hoop back up. All right, get my excess stabilizer out of the way. And mind you, this is a big piece of the polynotia mesh that I put in here. But because it's so wide as well, I put all the excess on one side so that when it's all trimmed up, I could probably use this in a 5x7 hoop or a 4x4 hoop and not waste supplies, okay? So now we're going to tack the batting down. So foot down, and let's tack down the batting. All right, that's a big hoop, huh? It sure is. All right, so we'll take this off. And now we're going to take this over to the table, and we want to trim away all this excess batting. All right, it's a big hoop, huh? Right. Okay, so it's back on the machine. Now let's put the foot down and stitch out the placement line for the fabric. Okay, again, I need to slide this toward me so I can get to the batting. And I want to put my fabric down, and I want to make sure, because it's directional, that it's facing up. This design has a really cute gingerbread man who's going to stitch upright in this upper left corner, and I kind of want him to be facing up. So I am positioning my fabric, feeling for the batting. There's the batting. There's the batting on each side. But I'm going to put my fabric facing up the right direction. If you have directional fabric, make sure you have it facing up. If it's not, you can put it any direction that you like. but I definitely would like to have mine facing the top with the gingerbread man. So I'm going to go ahead and put the hoop back on, get the excess stabilizer out of the way, and we are ready to tack down this fabric. You ready? All right, here we go. Yeah, I like that pink thread against that fabric. That's going to be super pretty. Okay, so now we're ready to stitch out the quilting designs. This is an 8-minute stitch out in real life. So let's fast forward and let's put down these quilting stitches. Okay, I have a little shred there. If you trim this up off of my foot, you can see it's twisting and shredding. So I am going to take that off. Okay, and I'm going to look down below, and it really didn't stitch anything down below. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the screen. And I need to go back because it just started an area right here with this candy cane. So I'm going to go back a few stitches. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay, and then forward. Right there. That's where it starts this candy cane. So now we are back in business. And let's go. I love this. Look at this. I know it's very hard to see on the camera, but these stitches are really cool. I got a couple straggler threads I'll take care of. This one, look how close. This candy, it actually stitches out a mint. It's almost exactly on top of that lollipop. It looks like a mint. What are the odds of that happening? I couldn't have done that again if I tried. This is really cool and pretty. It's subtle. Like I said, I don't even think on the camera you can really see it. But when you look up close, you see a candy cane, a holly, a mint, gingerbread man. It's really cool. So I think it's perfect. It's a perfect combination of letting the fabric shine, and yet when you get up close, you see this amazing quilting, and you can see the details in the quilting as well. So this block is done. But now, if you're following along with the pattern that I gave you for the table topper / wall hanging in this project, you need 4 of these blocks. There's 1 in each corner of that project on that pattern. So we're going to go ahead and take this out of the hoop, put it aside, reload your hoop with another piece of stabilizer, and let's make another one of these. Actually, I want you to make a total of 3 more. Okay? Make 3 more of these blocks for a total of 4. And then we'll meet over at the table and we'll finish them up. Okay, we are at the table. We have got all 4 of them done. Now, I'm not going to have you square these up right now. But what I do want you to do is I want you to trim off the excess of the stabilizer so that we can get that out of the way, but trim it to the edge of the fabric. Okay, trim it out to here. Don't square up the block just yet. Trim it to the edge of the fabric. Okay, so let's fast forward through. I'm going to trim off this excess stabilizer. Okay, so we are all done. Now we have these cute blocks that are again trimmed up to the edge of the fabric. I don't want to square them up yet. I want to wait till we have all the rest of the table topper wall hanging put together and then do our measurements just in case we might need 8 3/4 or we might need 8 1/4. It all depends. So I don't want to square these up until the very end. But aren't these cute? And see, this is the reason why I cut off the stabilizer in the long strips that I did, because this I can probably use for a 5x7 or 4x4 hoop. We can reuse this even if we sew couple of these pieces together and make a larger piece. We can reuse this because this is money. So that's why I trimmed those off. But aren't these adorable? Let's get those out of the way. Trim those up later. There we go. Aren't these adorable? I love how they came out, and I hope you could see the quilting on the camera. It's really, really subtle, but it's really cute. If you look at it, you can see the candy canes, the gingerbread men. I think it's super cute. I love it. So now we have 4 of these blocks done. How about that? That's awesome. All right, well, I hope you had as much fun today making these blocks as I did. And I hope you come back and watch the next video where we do more on Kimberbell's Candy Cane Lane bench pillow / wall hanging / table topper project. So I appreciate you subscribing to my channel. It helps me do what I do for you. And I truly, truly am thankful for all of you out there. I could not do it without you. And that means a lot. So thank you so much. While you're there subscribing, please click the bell notification so you'll be notified every time I upload a video. And click the like button so YouTube knows that people are liking the video. All right, well, this was a fun day. I love how this turned out, and I can't wait to do more. So I will see you here next time on Jolly Molly TV. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.